All right, welcome to Powered by Authenticity, our special 6-week series talking about shredding. So, not only shredding maybe some extra weight, but maybe shredding some of those other layers of things that we start to feel around end of year, holiday season in general. And I am thrilled to be joined by my coach, Krystalor Crews. Krystalor, hi, how are you?
Hello, happy Monday. I am fabulous, coming to you from my mobile office in the vehicle. Great to be here, no matter
All
what.
We all spend a lot of time in our vehicles.
Yeah,
So, yeah. Well, awesome, and before I get started on everything, congratulations on your half marathon yesterday. That was an amazing time.
thank you so much. It was a beautiful race. It was a good day.
Awesome.
And we're celebrating a Bills win, too, by the way.
Huge Bills win. Yes. It was great. All things Bills. Stayed up way too late last night, but that's okay. Throat's a little sore this morning from screaming, but it's all
Mm-hmm.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just to get right into it again, I am absolutely loving the workouts. I did miss a couple. I did buddy up a couple. So Saturday I did two to kind of make up for having missed Fridays just due to schedule
Okay.
chaos. So I think overall it's still for me, even though it's 20 minutes, making sure that that's my highest priority item. But you know, they're so effective and they're so like just quick, get it done. And, I do find the clarity at the other side of it to be able to focus on work is phenomenal even after that, especially after that quick just release of energy during the day.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said you just missed the one,
I missed
and
two.
then you
So,
missed two, and
mhm.
then you doubled up one of the days.
Yep. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
I didn't get to do stretching yesterday because it happened right in the middle of the Bills game.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I have a scheduled run tonight, so I thought I'd do the stretching before the run, just to kinda get
Mm,
yeah. So,
okay. That's a great
yeah,
idea. Okay.
yeah. So, just
Good.
kinda work out the kinks.
Yeah. And it was sunset. It was so beautiful last night. We did the sunset on the beach in Puerto Rico. So, oh, it was just gorgeous. So I'm
Yeah,
excited for you to see that one.
awesome, I can't wait. Yeah,
Hmm.
I thought so your locations, I find it very interesting. You do the beach, but then sometimes you're not on the beach, and you really just make it work no matter where you are. But I've also noticed that you have every intent to be outside during the course of those 20 minutes. Is that intentional? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So, my bags have been always packed, traveling around for the military. I couldn't always get to a gym. And so I created a workout that you can do from anywhere, from a hotel
Mhm.
room, the kitchen, the living room, wherever. 20 to 30 minutes is better than zero. And I find that when we have to travel to get to a gym, you think you have to like pack all your bags. You have to, pack your clothes, pack your lunch, get out into traffic. It's like a 2 hour experience. And then you
Right.
actually have to do the work there. So, for me to be efficient, I had to figure out ways to really make sure that I can get it in. And then, so being outside and traveling, I started having fun with it because I was traveling so much. I'm like, okay, well, I'm in this city. I want to show everyone this city.
Yeah.
And, everyone can see a living room or the same, hotel room. They all look pretty much the same,
They
unless
do.
you're in Vegas or like any cool place, right? Which I have been. But so it really got to the point where I was showing different backdrops because I've been doing these workouts since COVID.
Mhm.
So since all the gyms shut down, so I've been traveling all over the world, right? So
Yeah.
just it's a fun way for me to share my lived experience and where I get to travel to, and we all get to work out. And so I do try to share as much as of the backdrop as possible.
Mhm.
I can't always do that, due to
Yeah.
inclement weather. Sometimes the technology doesn't always love when it's pouring rain or sleeting or wind in sideways and everything's falling over. But yeah, I do like to get outside. And for me, like, I have more fresh air and getting out in front of other people too. We get to really just advertise, and people are always
Yeah.
like coming up and watching and wondering what's happening, and it's contagious. So
Yeah.
that's why.
Yeah, that happened last week, right? There was somebody who joined in on me, which I think is so
Oh
cool.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I think, and equating that to the past 2 weeks for me, my time outdoors with the puppies, which I've actually made that conscious effort to continue that, just that, even that 10 minutes. Again, you spin to the end of the block, you come back, and when you sit down at your desk, your brain has like a renewed rejuvenation almost, that you can focus now and you're ready to take on kind of what the rest of the day brings. And it's becoming a learned behavior for them as well. Over the weekend I was like, why are the dogs barking? And they were literally sitting there at their harnesses and leashes looking for the human to take them for a walk.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Building habits.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, it's been great.
Good, good. All right. So, what have been your biggest wins and possibly a challenge for this week?
So biggest wins, I had time. Well, a couple different things. One, I finally got the launch date for my book collaboration that I've been working on since May of 2023. So
Wow.
that's coming out, which has been just a, you know, uh, just a great exercise in patience, working through the process and understanding that. So I'm excited for that to launch. It'll hit in December. I got to spend time with my one niece who just recently moved back from Austin. She would travel with me when she was younger. So I, like yourself, I was on the road a lot prior to COVID, and she would go on the road with me. And she came into the podcast studio with me this week. We recorded a little mini episode. It just so happens my favorite travel memory occurred with her on a unplanned, this a little event that happened and meeting up at the Atlanta airport. So just fun. Just a couple of fun, really cool things that I've been working on for a little bit, and then also getting just to record that fun little mini cast with my niece was great. It was just an awesome moment.
Oh, I love it. Awesome. Okay. And then, any challenges?
So stress. It was a rather stressful week, which is not great. So to try to continue to make progress, stress, just makes you feel like a bundle of just knots, if you will. So that was impactful last week. There was a couple of stressful situations. One that I had to address head on. That is always not necessarily the most comfortable of situations. So that really took a lot of energy out of me on Thursday and into Friday. So, you know, having now trying to put that in the past, having it, it's been addressed and moving forward from it. But there's still some, kind of that after concern that continues with you when you have to face a very stressful work situation. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about the stress that we go through, like at work or in our relationships and or in business, right? There's a set of expectations, and then when we don't either get our way or something doesn't go right,
Yeah.
it can really send us haywire. And that can really manifest in our body physically. Physical stress can really weigh us down if we don't address it. And then I think what you're describing is what I like to call an emotional hangover,
Hmm.
right? So when you're like ramped up, like up, and you're like, whether it be something with high energy, like positive emotions, or it can be stress and anxiety, right? So like in our brain, as an emotional intelligence coach, I geek out on this, right? So
Yeah.
in our brain, excitement and anxiety are like right near each other, right? So that's heightened experience, and our nervous system goes right. And then once we address it, it's like popping a bubble, like okay, now we release, and that build up can really, really churn up some extra stuff. And so, like, our body and our nervous system is like on overdrive. And then once you're done, there's a release and perhaps a relief. because we stress and we worry about what could
Yeah.
go wrong. I don't know your specific situation,
Yep.
but what I find is every single time I need to have a difficult conversation, this happens in my body physically.
Mhm.
And then, like, days afterwards, I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. But your body just went through a monsoon, right? And so it's
Yeah.
no wonder why in the aftermath, in our emotional hangover, understanding it, so we're not eating our feelings, going through the drive-through, we can just give ourselves some grace that, like, you've had some stressful situations. Your body and your nervous system is, it needs to heal itself, right? It needs to come back to center. It has to ground. And that's why it's so important that we, even throughout this shred, the 6 week program, really developing those healthy habits and those non-negotiables is at the foundation, because we need to have something to fall back on so that we're not dipping in our energy so much where we have to start all over again, right?
Yeah.
So, what were some of the tools and things that um, you found that, maybe that you've learned throughout the shred, or tools that you have in your tool belt to, like, bounce back from maybe a stressful situation, or something
Yeah.
that, grief, stress, trauma, like all of these things can really send us haywire. So, what do you think?
Yeah, so for me, it's, one, getting right back on track with the workouts, which is why Saturday I did too. Friday morning I woke up, I knew I had to have this conversation. I wasn't looking forward to it. So I think Friday afternoon I just kind of let myself go, just but picking myself back up on Saturday morning, doubling up, really thinking and being intentional about what I ate, my hydration, ways that also help me relieve stress. Or, don't laugh at this, but I'm a huge Hallmark Christmas movie person. So, and cooking, I love cooking. So getting in the kitchen, putting together, food that would bring the family together yesterday, all of that helps to heal my soul, and helps me get through situations. Funny, I remember one time I had to make just a tough decision about something from a career perspective. And I think I had of 2 ovens. So I had like 12 pies going. I had cookies. I had but it's how it helps me relieve stress. So I think, getting back on course to the continuity of the program, uh, realizing what fills my cup, and did not allow myself to get tied into anything that would not over the weekend. And I think that's going to help. I still think, to your point, that little hangover that you feel, it's still there. It's in the background, and I think that will be for a little, probably for a little bit. But I think just trying to pivot myself back to the the core essentials for not only the program, but just bringing continuity and consistency to life.
I love that. And so there's so much to be said. And I don't know what, you don't have to share your situation, but a lot of caring, giving, loving souls like yourself. When perhaps, I don't know what the specific situation
Yeah.
is, but what comes to mind for me is perhaps setting a boundary and having a difficult conversation, and then feeling some guilt afterwards
Hmm.
of, I don't know if that's resonating with you, but I think this happens a
Yeah.
lot. So we tend to think about it more, about the impact that we're having on the relationship and all these things, and, like, should we have said it this way, or, like, sometimes the aftermath is just as challenging, right?
Especially for women. I find
Mhm.
especially for women who are so afraid, especially in a work situation where, how does that make me come across? If I'm a man, I'm probably just gonna say it, right? And I'm not
Yep.
gonna think about it again. But for me, I'm like, oh, did I address that in the right way? Was there a better way? My messaging got through, but could I have done a better job at that? How, did I do something to let this in the first place? And all of the answers to those are no, and I probably did it perfectly fine, but I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna stew about the situation. And I think just overall women in the workplace especially are more apt to do that.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing. Thank you for being vulnerable and in this space. I think it's really powerful to call it out and just share that this is a lived experience for so many people.
Yep.
And that's why I love to do the work that I do. And, like, this week, we're doing the Bombshell Boot Camp, where we actually start to build that confidence, right? The confidence in your voice, your values, your truth, the confidence, having a community of supportive people around you, and just saying, no, I'm worth, I do have a voice.
Yep.
I am worthy of that space. And I know, like, when I was in the military, there was just quick story, there was a boss of mine that did not support the work that I was doing. So I was a leadership coach and diversity and inclusion, and I was trying to get this program up and running, and he was just like, what are you going to teach me? He's like, I've been in the military
Mm.
for over 30 years. What are you going to teach me, little girl? He's like, you better, no one's going to come save you. You better get bigger elbows.
Oh,
I'm like, bigger elbows? What does that mean? And I just like was thinking about it, and I was so hurt. I would like cry myself to sleep, like
yeah.
at night, from this toxic man that was in my life. And he was my supervisor, right? And so I was waiting for his validation for so long. And when he said that, I was like, that's it. What it was for me is getting bigger elbows of showing up in places and spaces and owning my voice, inserting my space and not waiting for approval or
Yeah.
validation. Like, finding my voice through that is like bigger elbows of taking up more space and putting myself at the table, because I'm a small human. I'm 4'11" and three
Mm.
quarters, and like, I'm just a fun size, petite size. And so sometimes people didn't take me seriously,
Yeah.
especially being an NFL cheerleader in the military. Like,
Yep.
they're like, what are you? And I was a belly dancer. Like, they're like, there's a lot of things. Oh,
Yep.
and by the way, I was a computer engineer and a project manager and a coach.
Yep.
So there's a lot of dimensions to our being and our personality, and so sometimes we shut off parts of ourselves to be able to fit in. And so I just share that because I think sometimes we don't think we have a voice, especially as women, and really finding that just with small things, either whether it be sitting at the table, speaking up, saying, no, that's not nice, or no, why didn't you invite me? Or, whatever it
Yeah.
is, stifling the cycle, like stopping the cycle, just little
Yep.
things over time will build. But anyways, I just wanted to share that because I think there might be someone out there that might need that.
Oh, I agree. And I love that bigger elbows, and I would have never put it into that context, but you're right. And again, especially for women in tech is my vertical, so I can feel and understand. And people are dealing with this every day. Women go into the job and the workforce, and we're still continuously, the minority at the table. So to your point, bigger elbows and making room for yourself and the belonging that you should be there is so important. And so, thank you for sharing that. And that resonates into kind of the stress that I had last week. And, I know it. Heck, I'm about to be a published author on the topic, but when you go through it, it's, it's different. It's a different feeling of being in the middle of it and trying to make sure you're maneuvering in the right way versus coming out of it and having more stories to tell essentially and as the end result. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we could have a whole other show on that.
We good.
um, yeah.
We good. So
So, how are you feeling now? And I know last week we did a scoring system for the
we
week because
did.
we were talking about habits. So, just I want to definitely make sure that we tackle like what habits you worked on, what worked well,
Yep.
what didn't, and your score for the week.
Yeah, so I'm gonna bump it up by one, by four, just because I did
Ooh.
miss a work. I did not stay across all of my, my non-negotiables. I missed some. And, I'm beginning to feel like that's okay though, because I've come up with ways to, so I think making up the workouts and helping to use that to balance stressful situations, like those are wins for me across this week. So setting up this week for success, it'll be tonight meal prepping. That helped so much last week, having just, stuff in the fridge. I took yesterday's veggie platter this morning and roasted the veggies and had a nice big bowl of veggies for breakfast. And, so it's things like that that I'm doing definitely to help set this week up for success. Um, I'm also going to try to shift and do the workouts earlier in the day. Right now, I've been moving them to after work, and I really, I'm gonna see if I can get back into more morning sided workouts. I used to do it, but then I like my slow moving coffee, so I'm gonna try see if maybe
Mhm.
shifting the morning schedule around. I do have my 5 a.m. routine right now, so take a look at that and how do I shift some things around and maybe kick the day off with the 20 minutes versus winding it down.
Ooh, I'm excited to hear how you feel
Yeah,
with that. I know what I experience when I wait. You think about it all day long, and you're already fatigued in your brain.
yeah,
Um, and so, a lot of times when we switch to the beginning, I'm hoping that you have more energy throughout the day too,
yeah,
and we don't have to think about it. And then, yeah. So, I'm excited to see how you do. You mentioned earlier too, how to kind of really give yourself grace and space
mhm.
to be able to navigate the stressful situations. And you mentioned Hallmark, and that I'm gonna laugh at it. I am not laughing, but I'm sitting with so much joy. I know I saw like some of your screenshots on social of your Hallmark, your veggie platter, the charcuterie board, your lights, your space. I just want to bring that up. And I think it's so beautiful. And your environment can really change the chemicals in your brain as well. So whether it be, making your house into a Hallmark movie like you do, or really just decluttering your space, right? Organizing can really help us, bounce back quicker and really navigate the stressors, because all of the stuff that's ruminating in our brain, and if we're not releasing it, it's going to bottle up, and
Yeah,
we're going to look at everything, and we're just going to keep processing. Our brain is going to keep processing. Oh, that pile of laundry. Oh, that mess. That, our refrigerator is a disaster. You open up the microwave. PSA, open up your microwave and see if it needs to be cleaned out, right?
yeah,
So but I love that you create a warm, loving Hallmark movie in your world to help you, navigate stressful situations. I think it's a really good tip. A nice cooked meal, family around the table. A lot of times when we're stressed, we want to cocoon and we
yeah.
want to isolate, and that is a lot of times our default is to shut down and stop, being around other people. And I love that you just shared that, you know this about yourself, of what just makes you feel good, and you're doing those things. And sometimes
Yeah.
it's just the little things. It might be a candle, it might be, putting like those things under your eyes, and, a nice cup of tea. Who knows,
I'm gonna I'm gonna have to replay this for my family because they're all complaining that they've gained 10 pounds since the beginning of football season.
Well, I'm coming home. I'm coming to Buffalo. I'll help them.
Yes. All right, come on. Awesome. Well, I loved week 2. I'm looking forward to week 3. I'm looking forward to hearing, I think tomorrow, is it tomorrow that there's a live on Facebook? Is it tomorrow?
Um, so all this week in
Yep.
the Health is Wealth group in my free community. So I'm actually going live soon. I don't know what time it is right now,
Yeah.
but at noon Eastern Standard Time every single day in my free community, I'm teaching the 5-day bombshell boot camp.
Awesome.
So it's 5 ways to have courageous confidence in seasons of change. And this week we're focusing on nutrition. So this month in November in Cruise Beyond Limits is all about nutrition. So we're going to be going through my 5 C's, the 5 core competencies, how to be more confident and live a more fulfilling life. So that's every single day this week. And then we have a Zoom call tomorrow night that's open, tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you want to come ask questions and meet the community, and that'll be a great space to connect as well. So
Awesome.
lots of
That's great.
opportunities.
Awesome. All right, great. And we'll link to your Facebook and to your website on the show notes. So
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming back on here. Week two has been great. I've loved everything about it, just the balance and everything about the program. And I appreciate you being open to do these live coaching calls. I think the value that I get out of this is amazing, and for others to be able to see it live. I know I got some feedback last week. I was in our community center recording an episode of our podcast, and I met a new person, and I kind of gave them, I came out of my recording, and that's my voice. And she was listening, and she was listening to our episodes and said how much it resonates because she believes in, you know, health and wellness, and, how that streams through to all aspects of her life. And she shared that she does 100 push-ups every day and stays strong and healthy. So just thank you, because I've already heard positive feedback and value that we're bringing forward. So thank you, Krystalor, for agreeing to do this live.
My pleasure. I'm so excited for next week. And just, I think you did mention the live tomorrow. So
Mhm.
every week in the 6 week shred, we're going to do a live call tomorrow as well.
Awesome.
So yeah. So tomorrow we're going to talk about this week 3 on nutrition. So we'll do,
Perfect.
yeah. So
All right.
excited.
Awesome.
Thank you for
Yay.
having me. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.